Victor Wembanyama, fresh off a historic December and celebrating his 21st birthday, stepped onto the court for his 100th and 101st career games. Over the 2 days, he combined for a jaw-dropping 55 points, 41 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 blocks. Opposite him was Nikola Jokic, already cemented as one of the greatest to ever play, chasing yet another MVP trophy. Refusing to be outshone by his young counterpart, Jokic delivered a staggering 87 points, 27 rebounds, 19 assists, and 4 steals in back-to-back games against the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. These games had it all. 2 of the league's finest players, dazzling highlights, and nail-biting finishes. This wasn't just a pair of regular season basketball games. It was a masterclass in basketball. Let's dive into every incredible detail. These back-to-back games mark the first matchups of the 2024-25 season between Jokic and Wemby. Their last meeting was unforgettable. Wemby erupted for 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists, leading a clutch Spurs win that featured a jaw-dropping 17-point burst in just 3 minutes. That loss was pivotal for Denver, dropping the Nuggets into a 3-way tie for the top seed with Minnesota and Oklahoma City. Ultimately, Denver finished as a 2nd seed in the Western Conference and faced Minnesota in the 2nd round, a matchup that ended their title defense.
Jokic on the baseline. 9th in the league in scoring, 4th in rebounding, 3rd in assists.
Jamal Murray, Denver's 2nd star, followed an uninspiring playoff performance with a disappointing Olympics run for Team Canada and has struggled with consistency this season. Aaron Gordon, Denver's defensive anchor and frequent recipient of Jokic's signature alley-oops, is set to miss another 5 games with a right calf strain, the same injury that sidelined him for 10 games in November. With a short rotation and inconsistent performances from key players, Jokic has been asked to shoulder an even greater load to keep the Nuggets in the thick of the playoff race in a competitive Western Conference, and he's responded spectacularly. Jokic's season averages are staggering: 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 9.7 assists per game, placing him in the league's top 3 in each category. To compensate for the Nuggets' shooting struggles, he's launching a career-high 4.6 three-point attempts per game and connecting at an absurd 49.2%, the best mark in the NBA. On the other side of the matchup, the San Antonio Spurs entered the season with a lot more positive vibes. They added a steady veteran presence in Harrison Barnes and brought in the headmaster of the School of Winning in the NBA, the point god himself, Chris Paul. The Spurs' future has never looked brighter, thanks in large part to Victor Wembanyama. Heading into his 100th career game and his 21st birthday, Wemby is putting up phenomenal numbers: 25.6 points, 10 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and a league-leading 3.9 blocks per game. He's also shooting 35% on 9.4 three-point attempts per game, a volume that places him in the league's top 15 in attempts and makes him the only big man on that list.
You're going to draw fouls, you're going to get back buckets. Wembanyama long range.
Wemby capped off a historic December by dismantling the Clippers on New Year's Eve. The Spurs, now 17-16 and in a 3-way tie for the 8th seed, rolled into Denver for their first game of 2025. With Gordon out, Jokic had to take Wemby in defense from the jump, adding even more responsibility to his plate, having to chase his cuts and move his feet on the perimeter. Jokic and Jamal Murray gave up an easy screen, allowing Wemby to take Murray in the post and shoot over him effortlessly. Wemby grabbed the board, called for a quick screen from Stephon Castle in semi-transition, and used Denver's miscommunication to get Castle a bucket on a slip. Devin Vassell got a steal in transition and capped off a quick defense-to-offense sequence with an oop to Wemby over Westbrook's helpless contest. Denver took only 5 seconds to respond, with a transition layup for Jokic finally getting him on the board. Then Jokic executed a straightforward old man post-up against Wemby, making it look easy against a favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. Wemby answered right back with a spin move and floater and one, forcing Jokic to defend from the outside in. Wemby was too late to contest Jokic, leaving an open 3 from the top for the league legend marksman. Wemby sat down with 6 minutes left in the first quarter. The Spurs kept attacking the basket, forcing Jokic to work. Zach Collins scored with a hook over Joker, and Julian Champagny cut across the middle for a bucket, with Jokic too slow to rotate and contest. But Jokic responded in the paint himself. Zach Collins was just too small to stop him. Jokic sat at the 3:30 mark, finishing the first quarter with 11 points, but missing easy layups and open threes.
He's going to take a 3. No, he's in on Chris Paul, sidesteps, and the ball was blocked.
He was also targeted on defense without the safety net of Aaron Gordon behind him. Denver went on a mini run with 3 made three-pointers, patting Jokic off the floor offensive stats slightly. Wemby returned with 1:46 left in the quarter and immediately punished Denver for putting a smaller Peyton Watson on him, draining a mid-range jumper. Without Jokic and with Denver still playing small, Wemby feasted on the boards to open the second quarter, grabbing 5 rebounds in the first 4.5 minutes before Jokic checked back in. Wemby added a couple of perimeter swishes for good measure, spearheading a 9-0 San Antonio run. When he wasn't pulling up for deep threes after rebounds, Wemby took the ball up the floor himself and initiated a beautiful passing sequence that ended in an easy layup. Jokic didn't start his second quarter stint much better, clanking another 3 short over Wemby. However, he forced Wemby into early foul trouble, drawing his second and third personal fouls before halftime. Jokic capitalized on the smaller Spurs with Wemby off the floor, going 1 of 2 from the field but aggressively earning 4 free throws. Another miscommunication by the Nuggets on a screen and re-screen from Wemby led to a thunderous dunk on 2 rotating help defenders. The Spurs finished the first half up by 8, 60-52. Jokic resumed the scoring duel in the third quarter with a stylish one-handed catch and finished with Wemby right on his back. He then used a nifty pump fake to get Wemby out of the way, clanked an easy layup, but managed to grab his own miss and score. Wemby responded with another banker, abusing yet another guard switched onto him unnecessarily. For 5 minutes in the third quarter, it was a shootout. Denver scored on 9 consecutive possessions, turning a 60-52 halftime deficit into an 81-77 lead. The Spurs hit 3 in a row, and Denver responded with 2 straight, combining for 15 points in just 67 seconds. Wemby picked up his 4th foul with 5 minutes left in the quarter, prompting Mitch Johnson to bench him. Jokic feasted on backup center Zach Collins, draining a 3-pointer, drawing a 3-shot foul, nailing a patented Sombor shuffle, and driving for a layup with a pump fake. Devin Vassell and Julian Champagnie kept the Spurs within striking distance with timely buckets. The rest of the quarter turned into an exchange of long bombs and blown layups. Denver entered the fourth quarter up by 3, 90-87, facing a 4-minute stretch without Jokic and with Wemby 1 foul away from disqualification. The Nuggets nearly survived an 0-for-8 drought without Jokic, but Wemby picked up his 5th foul with 8:46 left. He shrugged it off and hit 2 deep 3-pointers to give San Antonio a 97-92 lead. As crunch time began, the Spurs kept aggressively targeting Jokic on switches. Jokic responded with a give-and-go to Westbrook, capitalizing on San Antonio's miscommunication. The Spurs exploited another easy switch, putting Wemby in the mid-post against Christian Braun. Wemby drained a mid-range pull-up to tie the game at 103 apiece.
Now Wemby against Christian Braun pulls up. Oh, and he nails it.
San Antonio doubled Jokic as he pushed toward the basket. Chris Paul rotated to cover Westbrook cutting into the lane, leaving Christian Braun open in the corner. A red Jokic capitalized on perfectly. Jokic followed that with a pass to a cutting Michael Porter Jr., who dunked over Wemby to put Denver up by 5 with 2.5 to go. After a Julian Champagnie 3 and a blown layup by Murray, Wemby drew 3 Denver defenders with a fake shot, then passed to a cutting Keldon Johnson for an and-one layup to put the Spurs ahead by 1. Jokic answered with a high hook shot, just inches out of Wemby's reach, putting Denver back up. Chris Paul's drive and scoop gave the Spurs the lead again. After empty possessions on both ends, Jokic worked in the post against Wemby at the free throw line. When the double came, Jokic faked a Sombor shuffle, passed out to MPJ, but Wemby got a fingertip on the ball, redirecting it to Devin Vassell for a transition dunk that sealed the game. The first clash of the season between Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama was nothing short of historic. Jokic put on a masterful performance, finishing with 41 points, 18 rebounds, and 9 assists on 36 shots while committing just 2 turnovers. However, his second turnover proved to be the most costly of the night, sealing Denver's fate in the final moments. On the other side, Wembanyama showcased his own brilliance with a clutch defensive play and a 35-point, 18-rebound double-double.
There it is. Wemby over the top. That's good too. Timeout, Denver.
The duel marked the first time opponents recorded 35-plus points and 18-plus rebounds in the same game since Moses Malone and Clark Kellogg faced off in 1983. After the game, Jokic offered high praise for his young rival. "I think he's better this year than last year, and I think he's going to get even better," Jokic said of Wembanyama. "I think he's a special player. I think he's one of a kind and is going to be remembered forever. Praise or not, Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets weren't about to let a close loss define their back-to-back series against the Spurs. Determined to spoil Victor Wembanyama's birthday party in San Antonio, Denver made key defensive adjustments for the rematch. With Jeremy Sohan back in the Spurs lineup, the Nuggets shifted Jokic to cover San Antonio's forwards, while their biggest wings and guards worked together to make Wemby's every move uncomfortable. The first quarter felt like an extension of the previous night, with the Spurs thriving in a chaotic, fast-paced transition game that played to their youth and energy. Despite this, Wemby found himself in early foul trouble, picking up 2 fouls in the opening 4 minutes. With Wembanyama sidelined, Jokic took full advantage, setting the tone early with 13 points in the quarter. Julian Champagnie, still riding his hot shooting from the first game, hit 2 early corner triples to keep the Spurs competitive. A strong closing stretch in the quarter helped San Antonio trim the Nuggets' lead to just 3, 30-27. To start the second quarter, the Spurs capitalized on Jokic's absence as DeAndre Jordan checked in for a breather. San Antonio took control, with their bench bringing energy and turning a small deficit into a lid. However, the Spurs missed opportunities to extend the gap with unforced turnovers. Still, Devin Vassell electrified the home crowd with 2 thunderous dunks, sending San Antonio into halftime with a narrow 55-54 advantage. The Spurs opened the second half with a 3-point barrage, scoring 12 of their first 14 points from deep. Harrison Barnes sank 3 triples, and Vassell added another, forcing a quick Denver timeout. San Antonio's bench kept up the pressure, maintaining the lead with relentless pace and rim attacks, while Jokic did everything he could to keep the Nuggets within reach. Entering the fourth quarter, the Spurs held an 11-point edge, 92-81. Denver stormed back in the final quarter, led by Michael Porter Jr. The Nuggets reserves won the non-Jokic minutes, cutting the deficit in half before the MVP re-entered the game. With the starters back, a massive 3-pointer from Russell Westbrook briefly gave Denver the lead, but Devin Vassell's putback layup sent the game to overtime.
Vassell keeps it, hangs, and puts it in!
In the extra period, Jokic reminded everyone why he's the reigning best player in the world. He dominated OT with a flurry of clutch plays, an and one off a Peyton Watson entry pass, a fadeaway jumper over Wemby, a tip-in layup after stripping Wemby for his 44th point, and finally, a soft floater over Wemby's 8-foot wingspan to seal the victory. Jokic single-handedly outscored the Spurs in overtime, 9-3, leading Denver to a spectacular 122-111 win. Wembanyama, who finished with 20 points and a career-high 23 rebounds, was held scoreless in overtime and couldn't grab a single rebound in the decisive period. Post-game, Wemby reflected on the experience playing against Jokic, saying, "Multiple-time MVP, soon to be MVP again. Can't ask for a better way to get better." Despite a 37-point explosion in the third quarter, the Spurs' youth and fatigue became evident on the second night of the back-to-back, as they managed just 19 points in the fourth quarter and overtime combined. And against Nikola Jokic, that simply wasn't enough. The reigning MVP delivered a masterful 46-point performance, adding 9 rebounds and 10 assists, while getting just enough support from his Nuggets teammates to secure the win. The 2-game series was a dazzling display of basketball at its finest. All sorts of buckets from the dueling super talents, clutch defense, and high praise exchange between the league's current best and its future star. Do you think these matchups deserve to be called the best games of the season so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.